Everybody, it's your boy David, finally coming at you with a Marvel tier list. This is the beginning of the stream, and we will just wait for viewers to arrive. But until then, I will just be jamming out, doing whatever. Just gotta link the stream to everybody for their benefit. Okay. Finally. I'm actually gonna put on the headphones because it doesn't feel quite right to do it without headphones, even though I'm not gaming into anything. Here we are. The official streamer headphones. Just chilling out until people arrive. We are very reckless. I'm drinking some Hagen beer. Is that? Oh wow, mirror image. It's perfectly fine. I was expecting reflection, but guess you can read that. Perfect. Easy peasy. I guess it's not like a mirror image, so that's fine. Alrighty, so I don't know who's here. I don't know who is just lurking. But if you are an active participant in this social tier list stream, please let me know that you're here. Because then I know that people are watching and I need the attention. I think, yep, I've got the overlays working so I can see everything perfectly fine. And I've got the tier list in order. From Iron Man to Spider-Man's Far From Home, which is... Hello, Emerald Roses. Glad to see you here. The viewer who's always ready. The number one fan. Currently pending. So ready. Alright. Hell yes. Okay, well, while you're here, I'm going to give you a bit of background. I got this beer, like literally 5 minutes ago from the supermarket because I wanted to have something to drink while doing the stream. We love it. We're drinking responsibly though. We've got school tomorrow, but yeah, got some Hagen. Got a 12-pack of these for like $15, so I couldn't not, So I'm gonna get a little tips. It's okay. For a $15 12-pack beer, it's okay. It's a pretty good steal if you're just looking for beer and you want to get drunk. Like, it's perfectly fine on its own. But it's I think I would probably prefer something a little more expensive, but it's still like, If I was to put it on a tier list, I would rank it like a low B tier. Like, it's a solid choice, and for that price, you can't not. There we go. I'm already really good at this tier list thing. If there's a beer tier list, I will look into it. Although I've drunk a lot of beer, but I haven't drunken enough to know like every single beer. Like, I'm very specific with my beer usually. The only reason I got into Hagen was because it's super cheap. But how are you doing? I hear you're at work, Madi. How's that going? You are busy with the whole what's it? The Meghan Markle and Prince Harry interview? That was yesterday though, wasn't it? Yeah. I just started. I watched a bit of that interview just today, and that's interesting. Very, very. I don't know what the word for it is, but it felt very tabloid, but also kind of interesting. Really good example of how like tabloid culture gets a bit out of control. Yeah, some of it felt forced. I don't I don't think Meghan Markle is lying, so to say, but the way that the Oprah interview has been edited, it just doesn't. It doesn't feel like we're getting the full picture. That we're just getting kind of a piece of it. But I am not surprised at all that, like, the story that Meghan Markle is trying to tell. I'm not surprised at all. If that's true, what she's saying, I wouldn't be surprised. That's what I'm trying to say. It seems like a very oppressive, like, environment being in the royal family. So yeah, I digress. So yeah, we should have Tom here. He's the whole reason I delayed this stream. Very predictable, and we've seen it before. I don't follow much royal family drama, but he should be here because I literally told him I was hopping on. I'm just gonna hopping on. No. Okay, cool. That'll show him. Yeah, I've noticed that parallel with Princess Diana, and they mentioned that in the interview like a few times. Which is interesting because yeah, the same sort of thing is happening. They tell the story, but then they don't like fully elaborate. There's that whole debacle with those conversations about how concerned people were, like, of her child's skin color or how dark her baby would be, and it's like, and Oprah's like, okay, who said that? And she's like, I don't want to condemn them. I don't want to, that would be too damaging for them. And it's kind of like, well, okay. So we're just left with that. It happened, but we can't substantiate it further. I know, it's I think as long as she doesn't name names, there's going to be that ambiguity, and then the Crown can just sort of like worm their way out of it, basically, by being like, well, she didn't say who, so you know, it's just hearsay and whatever. Like, I still sympathize with what she's trying to say, and it's clear that it's taken a huge toll on her mental health. Yeah, it could be Charles. I don't know much about the royal family and their personality and their like scandal and their history, but if it was someone like Prince Charles, I don't. If it was just one of the old members of the royalty, I'd be like, not surprised. Yeah, and they don't really go into that whole they talk about like the racism that Meghan Markle faces by the media and a little bit about talking about a baby and whatnot, but like they don't really address like I don't know. She's not gonna like completely deconstruct the royal family or anything. So, I don't know. Ooh, this is getting political, and we haven't even gotten into the tier list, but there you go. I mean, I've made my stance on the royal family clear in that group chat a night or two ago. Last night. I don't really care for them, even though they're interesting as like from a sociological perspective and history. It's just like, I don't think they serve a real function outside of just being very privileged and prestiged. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So now that Tom is here, we can begin. We were just talking politics earlier. Don't mind us. Yeah. We'll have the conversation about the monarchy another time during a party, I'm sure, but I definitely agree. We're drifting away from the importance of the monarchy. Okay, so we have enough people here. Let's officially get started. So some housekeeping, first of all. What was I going to do for my housekeeping? Okay, so I'm going to be ranking these on a tier list based on kind of my personal experience. That I'm not going to try very hard to like weigh the objective merits like filmmaking, directing, cinematography and whatnot, but it's mainly going to be my personal connection, reaction to the films in front of it. So that's kind of what I'm weighing them off. And I'm going to be going in order of the release date of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So you can see Iron Man is first, and then all the way down here is Spider-Man Far From Home. So we're going left to right from the beginning of the cinematic universe to the most recent film. So we're going to do that right now. Gonna take a swig before we begin. I already hate this because I use stuff like that to make digs at Captain Marvel. Do you mean my method of criticism? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, like the direction and editing. I'll mention. I mean, I guess it'd be kind of a crime to not mention it. But I guess, I mean, good cinematography does affect one's experience of the film. So in a way, it's still connected to the technical aspects. If a Marvel film is technically bad, then I'm probably not going to enjoy it as much as one that's technically good. So maybe I'll get into that. Oh, and finally, I'll be probably going into spoiler territory for all of the films in front that I have seen. So if you don't want to be I was going to make it spoiler-free if Jen was going to be here. But since she can't make it, I'm just going to do a spoilery thing, and then she can watch the recording of this stream later. So, but if you don't want any of these films to be spoiled, or if there's a film that you are yet to watch that you don't want me to talk spoilers, I can avoid talking spoilers. But please let me know which films that you don't want spoiled, or if it's all good to just go into spoilers, potentially. This is just a disclaimer so I can cover my ass from spoilers accusations. I'm going to assume that we can talk about spoilers for things like Endgame, because everyone has watched Endgame, but some people may be, hesitant. Some people maybe haven't seen one or two films yet, so just wanted to cover my bases. Good on Maddie's end, fantastic. I'm pretty sure, Tom, you've seen all of these films, or most of them, up till recently. This includes Spider-Man Far From Home, which I didn't watch until literally last week. Okay, Tom, well, we get it, but I wasn't sure if maybe one of the earlier films you hadn't seen, but I figured that was unlikely. And I'm going to guess Cole is okay too. So, without further ado, yeah, I've been rewatching as well. I've been over. I reskimmed over Infinity War Endgame, and I just most recently watched Spider-Man Far From Home. So that could impact on the ratings, but we'll see. Okay, let's begin. First film, that's going to be Iron Man. Iron Man is the first Marvel film I watched, and I mean, unsurprisingly, because I watched this when it came out, and I have fond memories of watching this with Michael. And I know he really liked the film. I think he liked it more than I did. For Iron Man, I think we're gonna put him in a solid A tier. It's definitely a solid film. I think the main thing is I haven't seen this film in a very long time, but I do remember it being a pretty interesting film. What am I trying to say? What can I really say about it? I mean, Robert Downey Jr. has a fantastic charisma. I liked his kind of origin story from going from you know, this kind of arrogant billionaire to an arrogant billionaire with a big fuck off robot suit. Pretty solid film. The best film until Winter Soldier, personally, top 5. Ooh, that's including Guardians of the Ooh, I don't know, man. Okay, well, it definitely belongs in A tier. It hasn't, I think, it hasn't touched me enough to really belong in the S tier, but I can see why, like, Iron Man became a solid favorite for a lot of people. It's a fun film. It has really interesting pop culture references, but there we go. Guardians of the Galaxy is in a film that could push it to a top 6. Okay, well, I'll take it. Not everyone has to like Guardians of the Galaxy as much as I do, so you're not legally obligated to. Okay. The Incredible Hulk, I did not watch this film. I remember when it came out, vaguely, but I had no idea it was part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe until very recently. It has Edward Norton as Bruce Banner instead of Mark Ruffalo. And I actually like Edward Norton as an actor. It's not worth my time? Okay, fair enough. I do like Edward Norton as an actor, but yeah, he's not Mark Ruffalo, and I'm kind of just too used to Mark Ruffalo being Bruce Banner, so I really don't see myself seeing this film in the future. But yeah, it doesn't get a D or F tier, because I just haven't seen it. Simple enough. Iron Man 2? I also did not watch this film. Yeah, it's the one, like, kind of semi-important Marvel Cinematic Universe film that I haven't seen. I know it introduces characters like War Machine and Patriot. I think I'm Patriot. No, I could be wrong. I know little to nothing about the film. I cannot comment on it. I haven't heard really great things about Iron Man 2, though. It's probably not worth, like, going back to see either. Okay. It's good to know that you liked it then. It could be... I don't know if it expanded on, like, Iron Man 1 in any way, if it made it interesting. It's just sort of... It is what it is. I just didn't end up seeing it. But I'm glad you guys have seen it and have opinions on it, because I guess you guys can talk about it. I really cannot. Okay. Okay, it doesn't build on it. Okay. Then maybe I'll watch it, like, 20 years in the future out of, like, obligation, just so I can finally tick it off the list, but I really don't see myself, like, invested or feeling the need to see it. Thor, the very first Thor film. I really enjoyed Thor when it came out, actually. It was, I mean, Thor is a completely different superhero to Iron Man. He has mystical, background. But yeah, compared to the later Thor films, this isn't a very exciting portrayal of the hero. I think in retrospect, it's not a very good film, but I have to account for the fact that when it did come out, I quite enjoyed it. Chris Hemsworth's debut into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and yeah, I liked him. I definitely thought he was a hot piece of meat, but it was also, a very cool superhero. Does this make a great film? No, not necessarily, but it does make an okay Marvel film. I'm gonna put it in C tier. Yeah, exactly. Hemsworth is... Wait, who did you think I was talking... Oh, I mean, I was talking about Hemsworth, but if you thought I was talking about... I mean, Natalie Portman is pretty smoking too. I keep forgetting that she's in the MCU, because she's barely in it. Well, she's only in it for the Thor films, but that's why I'm really excited for Thor Love and Thunder. That's going to be great. So, C tier for Thor. Agreed. The entire cast is very hot. Okay, so Captain America: The First Avenger came out in... Ooh. I want to pull out the... I'm gonna give me a second real quick. I'm gonna pull out the years. There's a really good... I'm gonna reference Jennifer's images. Oh, nope, I cannot reach them. Doesn't matter. It came out in a year, but honestly, I had to watch this film. I mean, a lot of people had to watch this film for English in year 10. So I've seen this film at least 3 times. I might have seen this film as many times as I've watched Guardians of the Galaxy, and I cannot reconcile myself with that fact at all. It's... I'm trying to recall, like, anything particularly memorable. I think the only reason I remember the plot so well is because I was forced to analyze it for English, and I don't know why you would pick this film for an English class. It doesn't... Sure, it uses, like, basic cinematography and explores themes of heroism and anti-fascism while also being pro-propaganda for America, but that's kind of typical of a lot of Marvel films. It just doesn't stand out among Marvel films. Is it essential for understanding the MCU? Yes. No. It's cool to get Steve Rogers' backstory, but yeah, it's really not memorable. I'm gonna have to put it in C tier above Thor, I think. It's fine. It's a classic, like, hero story, but it's not really phenomenal, I think. The Avengers, the first collab, and one that is, in my opinion, incredibly iconic for a few reasons. I mean, it's the first time it basically completely introduces the concept of MCU and crossovers, great chemistry and performances by all the lead actors, and I found myself liking every Avenger on the team, including Hawkeye and Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. Even though they don't have their own films, it made me want to know more about them, so you cannot understate the cultural significance of The Avengers as a film. It is probably one of the most historical moments in the entire MCU, just for being the first collaboration. It basically tells corporations, hey, this could be a real concept, and they absolutely proved it with the box office. It's one of the best-selling films of all time. Not that that makes it good, but it is indicative of just a crazy movement in superhero film. So, how do I feel about the story? What happened in the Avengers? I think Loki had, like, there was a Tesseract and some shit. Loki is up to some mischief. Loki's a great villain, of course, but yeah, he summons an army of monsters and the Avengers fight the monsters. Great story, fantastic. And they bicker a lot. Like they like argue like a bunch of elderly people. I'm gonna give it a. It's coasting between A and S. I think I'm gonna put it. It's got to be S tier for now, but it could get demoted to A if there's too many. I am sticking with that. Yeah, so S tier for Avengers, but it's probably a low S tier. B? Alright. I'm mainly putting a lot of weight in its significance as a film. But do I love it? And I think I also really enjoyed the film when it came out. So I do like it. I have fond memories watching the film. It probably turned me into a Marvel fanboy, honestly. Like, I think I was into DC, but then I watched the Avengers and I turned into a Marvel fan. So I think that gives it a lot of strength. But it's coasting between S and A. If there was an A+ tier, I'd put it in A+, but it's S for now. Iron Man 3, D tier. Maybe even E tier. I grouped D to F tier just together because I didn't want like a lot of columns. This is just sort of the poor film section. Iron Man 3, I remember bugger all about it. The only redemption for me was the evolution of Pepper Potts. I thought she had a cool like moment at the end of the film when she sort of she didn't become Iron Man, but she, used the suits and kicked ass. It was a real interesting moment. I wish they did more development to Pepper Potts because she was one of my favorite characters in Iron Man. But yeah. Other than that, it has a completely forgettable story, and honestly, why did we need a third Iron Man film? I think it's completely pointless. We don't need to know much more about Iron Man himself. He's a pretty, or he's an already fleshed out, but sort of not entirely deep character. There's not a lot of angst in him. He's a sort of character that has his shit sorted out. So I didn't really see the need for a film outside of just making more money. So blatant cash grab, not very inspired at all, not very interesting. D-tier. I'm gonna take a drink. I don't think anyone disagrees with me on this one. Thor: The Dark World. Thor 2, basically. I feel like I have to put this lower than Thor. But I think I remember enjoying this a little bit more than Thor for some reason. It introduces the character Darcy Lewis, who is played by Kat Dennings, and I like Kat Dennings as an actress, but that's about it. I think I just remember watching this film, and I don't really remember, like, actually, like, having an enjoyable moment. It's just sort of like more Thor. And I'm more of a Thor fanboy than an Iron Man fanboy. Even though this tier list is saying otherwise, I actually enjoy. Ooh, Hemsworth. The film is fucking forgettable, but Hemsworth though. No, it didn't. Hemsworth is great, but I'm pretty sure The Dark World didn't have a shirtless scene in it, so yeah, that's the only reason it's in D tier. If they had a really steamy shirt, or does it? I can't remember actually. The fact that I don't remember whether there's a shirtless scene in Thor: The Dark World is immediately damning. I'm giving it a high D tier, possibly low C tier, but high D tier. I had good memories watching it, except I don't remember those memories, so I can barely call them good memories. Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Okay. What am I going to do with this one? I'm not going to look at the chat because I know Tom's going to beg me to put it in a high bracket. I remember a lot of people really urged me to watch this film after it came out because it's like better than Captain America: The First Avenger. And it is. It is definitely a much superior film. It belongs in a B tier at least. However, I also don't remember much about this film. It does flesh out Captain America and the Falcon's sort of relationship. I think there is interesting sort of like, it explores, it reintroduces Bucky Barnes to the Marvel canon. But what's going on with Bucky Barnes? He's kind of, ooh, okay, this film's top 5 easy. The whole Hydra plot is incredible. I didn't care for it, honestly. This is gonna be our first big disagreement. I did not really pay much attention to Hydra. They just felt like generic villains to me. I mean, they're literally just Nazis, but like toned down Nazis. That's kind of the fear. It completely fucked up the world. I mean, possibly. I wish I had more like recollection of this film. There's good action, and I think, it's good to see the relationship with Steve and Bucky Barnes. That's kind of interesting, but true. They did get rid of S.H.I.E.L.D., didn't they? This is where the gaps in my MCU knowledge is starting to show, because I have not paid attention to the Hydra S.H.I.E.L.D. arc at all. I do know Hydra has like a role in like fucking up S.H.I.E.L.D. because you see hints of that in Endgame and Infinity War a bit, but like they sort of bring that back when they time travel in Endgame. That's true. You make a good point. If that, provided that, even so, however, I didn't find myself terribly attached to S.H.I.E.L.D. to begin with. It's kind of just like, cool. S.H.I.E.L.D. is sort of just an organization dealing with what? Exactly. I'm very sorry for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans. Didn't care for it whatsoever. So, how does this impact the rating? I'm gonna have to put it. I'm gonna land it an A tier above Iron Man, because I think it is representative of an interesting part of Marvel's history. However, it doesn't really touch me emotionally. It didn't really give me wide-eyed wonder, so it does not belong in S tier in my estimation. Despite high praise from you guys. It's just... Maybe I'm just not a Captain America fan. I mean, I like Captain America, but it's just sort of like, eh. Okay. So I'm very sorry for that. I wonder where I'm going to put Guardians of the Galaxy. Place your bets, everybody. So I can't not put it in its own tier. It's putting an S tier is like saying, I don't know, diamonds are expensive, or you know what I mean? It's just, of course it's an S tier, but I have to make a point in saying it is the cream of the crop, in my opinion. It is the best of the best. I could write an entire essay on exactly why I enjoyed this film so much, and articulating these thoughts without a script is going to be difficult, but I'm going to make a solid effort. So, Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014, and I remember this quite well. I have very fond memories of going into the cinema. I remember trying to sneak some Maccas into the cinema, and I got caught, and I was like kind of told off quite scornfully by one of the employees. She was very hostile about it, and I didn't enjoy that at all. She made me put away some of the food, or she made me like ditch some of the Maccas, but I still snuck in some of the Maccas anyway because I'm a bad bitch. And I remember right before starting the film, I was like, wow, what a shitty experience. I feel so bad. Like, I hate confrontation, and I hated that it happened to me. But then I watched the film, and I completely forgot all of that worry. I felt much better. I was hyped for this shit since before it came out, but oh man, did it blow away my expectations and skyrocketed it. Speaking of skyrocketed it, the best character in Marvel is Rocket Raccoon. Don't at me. He is probably the best developed character, and he is also my very favorite character. I think he's kind of the emotional centerpiece of the Guardians of the Galaxy as a whole, and I really, liked his moments. Bradley Cooper is insanely attractive, both physically and with his voice. That is all I'm going to say on that matter. But it also revitalizes the superhero movie genre in that he's probably one of the best characters in my favorite Guardian. On that we can agree, and I think, I'm willing to fight anyone who disagrees. I mean, you can have your own favorite character, of course, but I do think Rocket Raccoon is underappreciated as a character. I think he tends to get put to the side just because he's a talking raccoon, but I think there's a lot of depth and emotional complexity to his character. And you kind of do get to see development over the rest of the MCU films. Drax is also very hilarious. Every single person in the Guardians of the Galaxy has a different sort of personality, but they complement well, the thing is they don't complement each other so well. They clash all the time, but that's what kind of makes them seem like a real family. So I think I think the film itself does a great job exploring themes of family. James Gunn just had a really unique approach to the superhero film genre. And it revitalizes the genre by having a nostalgic soundtrack on top of it. And they have an in-universe explanation for that soundtrack, you know? I just think Guardians of the Galaxy was such a big risk to take because nobody knew who the hell they were. I barely knew who they were but when the film came out. But it paid off because they managed to just do their own thing. They didn't give a fuck. It doesn't feel as safe as other Marvel films. And I think that willingness to just take a step forward and be different really paid off. And that's probably what ended up touching me emotionally about the film. That soundtrack would have been really expensive. But again, I think that soundtrack really brings the film together, and obviously it spread a huge appeal to a wide audience because of it. Fantastic film. It is my favorite film, bar none, so far that I've ever seen. And that is largely, and I will acknowledge it is very largely because I have developed a great emotional fondness for it. I just very enjoy it. I very much enjoy it, and it's probably a film I've seen probably at least 5 times, which is a lot for me because I don't rewatch films a lot. But it is definitely one of my comfort films, and I like what they did with it. Yeah, not much else to say about it without just going on to another tangent, but there you go. Guardians of the Galaxy, everyone. Directed by James Gunn in 2014. Ooh, Civil War. Well, we're getting to that one, Cole. We'll get to that bridge. The Avengers Age of Ultron came out in 2015, I'm presuming, if we're just following our years correctly. Well. You absolutely need to watch this film if you're watching WandaVision. And I think WandaVision made me appreciate this film a little more. I've heard some arguments made about, how important Hydra is, but I think I would probably say that never mind. Forget the point. Forget the argument I'm about to make. I'm thinking Civil War. But Avengers: Age of Ultron is important. It is connected to WandaVision, and WandaVision made me enjoy that film more. It really did just feel like Avengers 2.0. It felt like the same film, but it lost that sort of surprise factor. I think it was okay. It introduced Vision, who is okay, just like a robot, but I liked what they did with Jarvis. I like how Jarvis sort of turned into Vision. I quite like Paul Bettany, so, good to see him develop into an actual fleshed out character. But outside of the creation of Ultron and the introduction of Wanda Maximoff, aka Scarlet Witch, I do not really see a huge significance for Age of Ultron. I think it's kind of just the same thing. I'm not dissing my boy Jarvis. I really like Jarvis. I think Jarvis was the best part about Iron Man. I think, I definitely have a weakness for sassy British AI. And so, yeah, seeing him turn into Vision was interesting. It was great because it's like, cool, this is just an expansion on Jarvis as a character. And I feel like you could go into the existential questions of being a robot, being a sentient robot. And I think they do that a little bit, but there's still room for expansion, so that's exciting. But I'm going to put Age of Ultron B tier. It's perfectly fine as a film and has significant significance. Significance. What a great sentence. It has significance in the MCU. So, it's got to stay in beta. Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man was 2015 as well, wasn't it? I do not remember. Ant-Man starring Paul Rudd as Scott. What's his last name? Shit. Fucking hell. Never. You didn't hear that. Scott something rather. Ant-Man, completely unique hero. Liked his introduction. I thought Paul Rudd was a fantastic addition to the cast, and really interesting action scenes. It's the first PG Marvel film, if I remember correctly, so they did tone down the violence, but that didn't make the action any less interesting, so definitely a solid film from an action standpoint, and I quite liked it. Not much else to say from the plot. He sort of develops from a thief into a hero, and I found the whole pseudoscience of the quantum realm very interesting. I thought it was fun. It was unique. It stood out. I like Ant-Man. Can't decide whether to put it before Winter Soldier or I'll put it before. Pretty solid. The Wombats. Are you talking about the band, or is there something in the film that I'm forgetting? Because the Wombats are a great British band, but I don't remember what that's referencing. Ah, yep. I was thinking about mentioning the Three Thief Thrones. That scene where they drive up to an enemy base or something, but then they I can't remember how the scene goes, but the one where they just slowly reverse out of the driveway and leave. Fantastic timing. I think they utilized them very well. It's a shame we don't see them very much in future films, but que sera, whatever. No, not those three wombats. That sounds right. Hank Pym. Hank Pym is kind of a dickhead, but that's funny. That's it. That's funny. I liked it. It was just a fun, wholesome movie. And by far the best Ant-Man film. There's a bit of foreshadowing there for you. Captain America Civil War. Oh no, you disagree with me? We're gonna have some. This is not gonna be a good time. Watch out. Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp and then Captain Marvel. This is not. We're not gonna be ending on a high. We're not gonna be ending on a high note, are we? Okay, that's fine. I'm starting to regret my order, but that's fine. That's fine. Captain America Civil War came out in... Am I getting my years wrong? Did this also come out in 2015, or is this a 2016 film? I think it was 2016. Yeah, that was the year 13, so 2016. Civil War. Now here, I think one of the most important... Yeah, 2016. I think one of the most important events inside the universe happens in Civil War, and that's the Sokovia Accords. Maybe it's not hugely impactful, but it is it actually proposes a very real-world legal question on whether superheroes should be regulated. And we see an ideological divide between those that support the Sokovia Accords, that's Iron Man's side, and those that are against it, Captain America. There are interesting arguments for both sides. I like how they present that debate. But it is kind of weak. It's really debatable who won the Civil War exactly. I suppose Iron Man did, but it's really just an excuse to get heroes to fight each other. It does seem ultimately superficial because they all become best friends at the end of the day, but the setup is nonetheless quite interesting. I think I found myself supporting Captain America's side when I watched the film, but now, in retrospect, I do think that I do support Iron Man's position a bit more. It's more realistic. I think the point was that everyone lost. Yeah, that's probably what they were going for. Yeah, I mean, war ruins all of us, so... guess it's an accident. It's a good anti-war message, except, you know, it's really just look how cool it is that the heroes are fighting, but whatever. There's that whole deal of how Bucky Barnes was like responsible for Howard Stark's death or something. There was a bit of drama with Tony Stark's dad, and I think Bucky was responsible for, or was it Captain America? I don't remember this. I have a poor memory for these non-Guardians of the Galaxy films. Who would have thought? It is hard to keep track of all of these different films, but I'm trying. I'm really trying here. So where do I put this on a tier list? It is a fine film. I think I liked it. Bucky killed Tony's parents when he was the Winter Soldier. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I thought happened. I just needed a confirmation. So while he was programmed by Hydra. Okay. Yep. That's right, he was programmed by Hydra. Yeah, my Hydra storyline, what's that? Sorry, guys. Thank you for filling in my gaps of knowledge. I think I'm gonna put Captain America Civil War. I think that's where I'm gonna put it. I might reshuffle everything at the end of the stream just to sort of like see if that makes sense, but that's my gut at the moment. I'm surprised I haven't put anything else in S tier. That's kind of, other than Avengers and Guardians. We'll see. Things are gonna get real interesting soon. Doctor Strange. That is a 2017 film, I'm guessing. I think everything just came out. It's either 2017 or 2018. Top 5? I could agree, possibly. Let me think. So Doctor Strange was Benedict Cumberbatch's debut into the films, and of course it introduces an entirely new kind of hero, the mystical heroes. I think Doctor Strange has a lot of potential as a sort of piece of the franchise, and I think the action was also very interesting. I think it might even be better than Ant-Man, because they just use magic so well. They kind of just go, fuck it, here's all this magic, then they went crazy with it. Very, very visually impressive. And yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch can pull off an American accent, unsurprisingly. Great hero. Character development, character arc is really similar to Tony's, I think, but also different enough. Yeah. Very, very visually stimulating, ADHD approved, and also fantastic use of effects. I agree with all of those, I think. He does have a very similar arc to Tony Stark. I think they both Tony Stark and Doctor Strange start out as arrogant, sort of eccentrics who are quite prominent in their field, but then after a traumatizing event, they develop into better people slowly by realizing that they can utilize their abilities for good. Except Doctor Strange kind of gets magic powers instead of, like, his thing isn't really tied to his past as a surgeon, but you know. Still, at the end of the day, they both become pretty decent heroes. Doctor Strange is a lot more reserved than Iron Man. I think Iron Man is kind of a lot more cocky. But I think I prefer Doctor Strange as a character. Pretty good. Would I put it in S tier? Does it deserve S tier? Possibly. But what's holding me back exactly? Nothing. It just didn't... There. I think for now, we're gonna just reshuffle everything. I'm a bit uncertain. This is another A plus tier, but S seems a bit high, so I think it's in low S. Spider-Man: Far From Home. Came out in 2018, I believe, early 2018, if I'm correct. All I really just remember this as the film before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Wait, Volume 2 came out in 2017. What am I thinking? Am I high? Of course it... So this had to have come out in 2017 as well. What am I... Never mind. I'm not going to worry about it. Spider-Man: Far From Home. I should have mentioned... Did I say Far From Home? I meant Homecoming. Spider-Man: Homecoming. I should have mentioned before that I really liked Spider-Man's introduction in Civil War. I thought he was one of the most interesting parts of Civil War. Yeah, everyone treats Tom Holland like he's like a complete beta just because he's more comfortable with his sexuality and kind of more willing to like... Because I've seen clips of him like cross-dressing for like lip sync battles, and people are like, oh, that makes him a beta. But like, honestly, I think Tom Holland is... He's not the best at being Peter Parker or being Spider-Man. He's the best at being both. And I think the angle that they took with him, that he's like a teenager learning how to be a hero, is really interesting. It's a fantastic move from a marketing perspective because it allows Marvel to cater to a younger audience by introducing them to a hero that's a bit closer to their demographic. It makes them a bit more relatable. But I also think it's interesting from a storytelling perspective because he's trying to deal with basic high school shit while also being a hero. I think that could really like strike a chord with a lot of people. Yeah, that's a pretty common sentiment I've seen around the place. But I think Tom Holland does a really good balance. He brings his own thing to the table, which is the most important thing. I can't believe Tom Holland is 23, 24. I thought he was way younger than that. I literally thought he was a 16-year-old actor playing Spider-Man. But there you go. I thought it was weird that people were simping over him because I was like, isn't he like a minor? But apparently not. So simp away, ladies and men and thems and non-binaries and whatever. Do what you like. So, wait, I need to put it on a tier list. Pretty good. Again, A is pretty good. I don't think it's a phenomenal film on its own, but it does achieve exactly... I think I like Peter Parker. I think I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man more than the film itself. I think the film could have done better, but it does have its moments. I also like Zendaya as MJ, and the rest of the cast whose names I don't remember, but I thought Zendaya did a pretty good spin on MJ. She does share some remarkable similarities to the Mary Jane from Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi films, but she's sort of like aloof and uncaring, but also, well, no, Zendaya, you only really explore MJ's like personality in Far From Home, but I do like Zendaya. I was very surprised to see her in the film because I'm like, isn't she from like Shake It Up? But yeah, pretty good performance, good choice, and nice to see that she's got a big career now in the MCU. Just thought that was worth mentioning too. But the film itself, story-wise, was okay. It had some pretty classic one-liners, like if you feel like you need the suit, you don't deserve to wear it. He has a pretty good relationship with Iron Man. It does bring out Iron Man a lot more too. So, yeah, pretty good. I need a drink before this next one because this one's a difficult one. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 2017. Every day, I wonder to myself why I like the first film more than Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And it's a good question because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 has a lot to offer. Well, first of all, it does a much better job at character development. I really, really felt the emotion much more in the second film than in the first film. This cannot be emphasized enough. Like, at the core of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is just a very strong emotional drive. And it's not, I think, because of Peter Quill's relationship with his father or his mother, but I think it's more of the significance that Yondu has in the film. Yondu was not a character I cared about very much in the first film, but in the second film he became one of the most significant, like, parts of the Guardians franchise. He and Rocket Raccoon have a lot of similarities that's explored. I think the subplot of the film is much better than the main plot. Rocket and Yondu fight some Ravengers. They travel through a wormhole. They become friends, and then Yondu dies. And that kind of breaks everybody in the film. And I've seen there's a lot of deaths that happen. There are a few death scenes in the MCU, right? But I feel like none have ever managed to be so emotional as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I've seen a really good essay on how Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 deals with, like, feelings and why, you know, just how it does that so well. I can't really articulate what makes this film so special. I had very high expectations for this film. You will not believe. I came from watching the greatest film of all time, and I was expecting an even greater film. It did not touch me the same way as Guardians 1 did. I didn't have that novel experience, but I do acknowledge that in many ways it does, it's an expansion. It's not, it's we've got a good soundtrack. We've got a great characters, great story. But I think the reason I like the first film so much is just because it's compact. It does exactly what it meant to do. It broke the mold. And that novelty really impressed me. In the second film, I guess felt a little more safe in some ways. But it still is, at the end of the day, a Guardians of the Galaxy film. Does a great job, and I really can't wait to see the third film. It did blow away my expectations. So, oops. No, not down there, up there. There we go. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 gets a high S tier. Probably mid S tier. There are better films than it, probably, but it's Guardians, man. Do you think I'm gonna put it low? Who do you think I am? Did you really think I'd put him lower even though I like it slightly less than Guardians of the Galaxy 1? I didn't think so, sir. I did not think so, but I wish I could articulate better why I like this film. I just like it in a different way. Both films have something different to offer. And in a way, that actually goes to show how fantastic the films are. If you can watch one film and then watch another and get two different experiences. I think that's great. Okay. I hope that made sense. I hope you agree that it's a decent film, because that's what I'm trying to portray. more development in that movie than Iron Man 2. Or were you talking about, oops. I wasn't, maybe, I think you were talking about, you were talking about Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, but yeah, I wish they had as good emotion. I wish characters had the same emotional strength in the Avengers movies as they did in the Guardians movie. The scene with Rocket Raccoon crying at the end is the fact that they ended the film on that shot of Rocket Raccoon crying. What a choice. Fucking fantastic. It really goes to show... I think the director said that Rocket Raccoon was his favorite Guardian too, and it shows, because they really put a lot of work into Rocket. I hope they put in even more work. I hope they don't just shove him to the side now. But yeah. I digress. You don't want to hear me talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 all night. So, Thor Ragnarok. Another golden era. I'm just gonna... Think of these two as equal. Because I don't have the heart to put one over the other. I do not have the heart to put Thor Ragnarok under Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But just treat it as an equal to Volume 2. Because, oh man, they took the dead, bloated corpse of Thor's character and revitalized it with new life. Thank you, Taika Waititi. You are a fantastic director. I had complete faith that he would nail this fucking film, and he nailed this fucking film very well. This and the previous four films couldn't be any more different. It starts with the fourth wall break, and they obviously told Chris Hemsworth, hey, have fun with this character. Actually enjoy yourself. Like, play this character and have fun. And that's what he did. I think Chris Hemsworth said, like, he enjoyed, like, the sort of, like, range he got to play with it. It makes Thor a lot more approachable as a character. And it makes his character development in later films make a lot more sense. A lot of the film was unscripted. I can imagine that. There's a lot of pure, organic moments of comedy. And this is one of the few films that I would rewatch, like in the MCU. A lot of MCU films I don't feel compelled to rewatch, but I feel like I would really enjoy a rewatch of Thor Ragnarok. I'm absolutely stoked as hell for Love and Thunder, because that's also going to be directed by Taika Waititi. The character, I can't remember the character's name. It's like Crag or Croc or something rather. You know, the guy who's voiced by the character voiced by Taika Waititi himself. Fucking hilarious. Love that guy. Good to see some Kiwi accent representation. Korg. Yep. I knew it began with a K, but I forgot. Good to see some Kiwi accent representation in mainstream film. I like how he took the opportunity to really bring in that, like, Kiwi sense of humor to the mainstream. So, what a fantastic film. I'm absolutely proud to say that we've got a New Zealand director like Taika Waititi. It's one of the few things that makes me a patriot of New Zealand, because we have Taika Waititi. Truly a national treasure. S tier. Black Panther came out in 2018, I believe. And, well, I had a lot of hopes and expectations for Black Panther. As you may know, the lead actor, Chadwick Boseman, has passed away last year. Rest in peace to him, of course. And he did a pretty good job performing the lead. I liked his introduction in Civil War. It was kind of sudden, but I thought Black Panther was a cool, like, character. I knew little to nothing about him. I just knew he was like a man in a cat suit, and that was cool. But this film, I think there's a bit of wasted potential. I really liked how they introduced Wakanda. I liked that it was technologically quite advanced, very interesting. There was a lot going on in Wakanda, but most of the film isn't set in Wakanda. For some reason they bugger off to America. They go to other areas in the world, but we don't get to explore the culture of Wakanda and the kingdom that he fucking rules. He instead gets dragged into some drama outside. I don't have a great grasp on this plot either. I thought it was kind of forgettable. There's a revenge storyline with the guy played by Michael Jordan. And I think some of the writing was just sort of generic as hell. I think it was really let down by that writing. The film could have been a lot more, but instead it's sort of just there. I wish they introduced the Black Panther. Maybe if they introduced the Black Panther earlier, I don't know. I do think films like this should exist for more representation, but I just wish they did a better job with the film itself. I think that would make the representation even better. But it is historic for what it is. It is the first Marvel Cinematic film to have an entirely cast of people of color, completely predominantly non-white cast. Fantastic. We need to see more films like that. But on its technical faults, and this is where the technical faults, in my opinion, affect my viewing enjoyment, I have to put it quite low on a C tier. Yep. I'll be interested to see what they do in the next Black Panther film. Great characters, great setting, but the story and writing, forgettable. So, that's my take on Black Panther. That can get quite political, but that was okay. Eight. Here we go. We're getting to the big stuff. Avengers Infinity War. Came out in 2018. And, yeah, I'm gonna put you in the bottom of S tier. I think it does not deserve any higher in S tier, but I do think it is a great film. Just, again, it takes the formula and completely throws it out the window to shock audiences, and I like being surprised, and Avengers Infinity War has surprises. They have them aplenty. It felt like a truly epic crossover. I think it did what the Avengers did, but better. Despite having an incredibly large cast of characters, I think they balanced everyone fairly well. I'm always going to want more Guardians content, but I think what they did with the Guardians of the Galaxy was quite cool. With exceptions. However, I do have some things to say about how they treated, what's his name? Star-Lord's character. Holy fucking shit, do I hate what they did with Star-Lord's character. Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill, is a character who, in the first two films, has learned to develop a sense of maturity, leadership, selflessness, and compassion for his teammates, essentially. But then he throws it all away and fucks up one of the man, fucking hell. You know what I'm talking about. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. That one mistake he made in the film, the one that ruined everything and doomed half of the fucking universe to being Thanos snapped. Holy fuck, what a terrible moment. I know, I understand it's a lapse of judgment, and there is an argument to be made that since Endgame only occurred, there was only one universe in which the Avengers would have successfully defeated Thanos, And because of that, what Peter Quill actually did is justified because he managed to set up the conditions for that universe. But that's bullshit. That's a bullshit argument, because you could excuse any like misgivings of the film with that logic. You can literally just say, oh well, you know, good thing these characters fucked up, because then, you know, then Endgame would have. I just think it's a circular argument, and oh my god, I think they did Peter Quill's character so dirty. They killed off, you know, I did say there'd be spoilers, of course, but this is where things get really spoilery. Good thing that rat exists. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, good thing all of the villains in the Avengers films fucked up the world, because otherwise they wouldn't have eventually defeated Thanos. It's just kind of a rubbish argument. It's just a pointless argument, really. I don't know. Basically, the takeaway is being straight destroys universes. Never be straight. Don't throw away your don't throw away your judgment because your girlfriend died. Although that's less a straight thing and more just being into romance in general, I guess. I digress. Look, all I'm saying is if they shipped Peter Quill with Rocket Raccoon, the universe wouldn't have been doomed. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to have that takeaway, but that's what the film is telling me. That is my interpretation. They should have made the gay man gay. Wait, what was I? No, what was I talking about? No. Yes. No. Yes. Yes. That is the takeaway. Make Peter Quill gay in the next film, or bi. Either is fine. Just stop having him crush on Gamora. That's just kind of. I was never a fan of that ship, but I didn't think that ship would literally ruin the universe. Anyway, I digress. But great film. I really enjoyed the film, despite that one moment. Very cool. Here we are, boys. Here's where things go to shit, eh? Ant-Man and the Wasp. Why am I putting this in so low? I would call it the worst Marvel film I've seen. I think that is the lowest. I would rather watch... The movie is fun and we got more wombats and it's aight. Why? I'm actually trying to remember why I didn't like this film. I just think I think I watched this film on a plane and I just had a really bad time watching it. I found myself very cynical and kind of annoyed. I think I might need to rewatch this film and evaluate my position. But I remember at the end of the film watching this and thinking, this is one of the worst films I've seen. I wish I had a stronger argument than just I didn't enjoy it, because that's kind of just all that happened. So there are more moments with the wombats. I guess that's cool. And maybe the film is fun, but maybe I expected it to be something, but it didn't end up being that something. There could be a lot of reasons. Maybe we'll put it a bit above Iron Man 3. This will be a pending result, because I'm confident that I dislike the film, but if I don't want to rewatch the film and then still find out that I hate it, but it might justify a rewatch, it might not. It's just felt very generic, I suppose. That's the takeaway. That is what we're going with. I'm very sorry for causing disagreement. I'd love to hear what you have to say about Ant-Man and the Wasp. Tom, we'll see how that... See if you have what you say for it. I mean, the movie is fun is a good enough argument, really. But yeah. Did not enjoy Ant-Man and the Wasp. It does, however, provide a very important prologue to Endgame. So it is an essential. It is a must watch. But I just didn't enjoy it. I thought the first Ant-Man film was much better. Sue me. Captain Marvel. Well. Captain Marvel. The Last of Us Part 2 of films. And for the very same reason, because people don't like the writing, I guess, or people don't like well, not the exact same reason. There's a lot of politics that are external to this film. People are like, you're forcing diversity by having, female protagonist. But this film couldn't. The issue I have with Captain Marvel is two things, I guess. This film should have come out like a decade ago. We should have been seeing these films earlier. The fact that we are after 15 years or after like 20 movies, after we're getting 20 movies, only now are we getting a film with a female protagonist hero. I think that's absolutely pathetic. This film should have come sooner. As for the film itself, it is basically US Air Force propaganda. But it's an okay film. I don't think... Okay, let's see here. Captain Marvel, bad editing and direction. Captain Marvel is to this movie what Kirito is to Sword Art Online. A boring wish fulfillment character with the smallest amount of personality so anyone can project themselves onto them. Lazy and boring character. Well, I know another wish fulfillment character in the Avengers. I mean, all of them are to some extent, but I think a lot of arguments you can make in that vein apply to Iron Man as well. Iron Man is exactly a wish fulfillment character. He is a rich, brilliant billionaire who has access to advanced weaponry and technology. If that's not a wish fulfillment character for a standard male audience, I don't know what is. I don't really know. The fact that Captain Marvel is a very overpowered character is also kind of people. I don't know. You can make a lot of arguments. Hang on. What am I going to say? People say Captain Marvel is incredibly overpowered, but then you get characters like Superman. Yeah, Captain America gets instant muscles. That's another example. I guess you could say Thor is also like a ridiculously overpowered character to some extent. I do wish they gave her a bit more like complexity and depth. I do think she is a simplistic character. But I think a lot of heroes are designed to be a wish fulfillment character in some way. Captain Marvel is to this movie what Kirito is to Sword Art Online. Yeah. I think Captain Marvel is a better character than Kirito, but that's another conversation for another day. I think the biggest thing that Captain Marvel suffers from and why she's so uninteresting is because she just hasn't had enough time to develop. She's only just now being hurriedly introduced before Endgame. The film just feels like a formality, like a checklist that Marvel had to do before like filming Endgame. It just feels very rushed, and it is a propaganda piece. But I don't have a problem with the actual character herself. I just wish she had more room to develop. But she does have a small... She does indeed, though, have a small personality. I don't think she's not designed for anyone to project onto them. She's designed specifically for women to sort of, like, see themselves in. It's kind of a shame that we don't get more, female-empowered heroes in films like these. I think we can all agree that would be a nice change eventually. So, but how does this film factor? I think it has an interesting story. Interesting enough, I guess. I like how Nick Fury is in the film. I like how he's a younger version of him. It kind of does a fun spin on Nick Fury. That's probably one of the best parts of the film. So, Captain Marvel, I believe. Where do I put you? C2. I think I really can't give it much higher. As much as I love to be a contrarian, it isn't the best film in the world, but it is far from being the worst. I think it's just a film that happened. An unnecessary film, but ultimately not as, pointless as others might argue it to be. And she has interesting interactions in Endgame, even though she's literally only in the film for 10 minutes. Speaking of which, the Avengers Endgame, I said Captain America Endgame, Avengers Endgame, the penultimate film of this tier list. And, well, again, this is another video essay worthy topic. It has a messy structure. I like that they attempted a time travel story, and of course you're never going to get a time travel story right. The only accurate time travel stories are like 12 Monkeys or what. Like there are very, 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 very few films that can get time travel correctly done. So it's not much of an intellectual exercise to point out why the time travel is iffy, I suppose. I don't really care, though. I don't care enough that the time travel isn't solid. I think I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. I'm watching a fucking Marvel film. Of course I'm going to suspend my disbelief to some degree. It's still fun to like poke fun of. Like it's still fun to criticize films from that perspective, but for me that doesn't really impact my cinematic experience, whether it is perfectly scientifically accurate. With that housekeeping out of the way, I was really excited for Endgame. Of course, everybody was. It's the best-selling film of all time. It is the highest-grossing film of all time. But it doesn't have that same impact that Avengers Infinity War does. Because, well, there's just way too much. Oh, yo, what's up? How's it going, Wahab? I'm just talking about a tier list for Marvel films. Good of you to join. I don't know if I know you in real life, but it's a pleasure. Welcome to the stream. We're drinking. Yeah, I don't know what you think about this tier list, but this is kind of, I'm nearly done with this tier list. I'm just sort of listing what I think is the best films and the worst films. So, yeah, Avengers Endgame was a letdown. I think it's safe to say. It wasn't a bad film, though. I think some people are saying some people are thinking it's a bad film because it's a letdown, but that's not necessarily the case. I think it's okay. There's a lot. You could go all day talking about what you wish could have happened in the film. No, I haven't, but I will. This is very. Oh God, the female empowerment scene. This is. Fuck, man. I fucking love the female empowerment scene. It's so funny. It's just, if there's one thing that the Avengers trilogy does, is that it creates memes. And I think the memes in Endgame haven't been from being funny, but from being, like, ironically funny. Like, people are just making fun of the film itself, rather than laughing with the jokes. The female empowerment scene, if you haven't, everyone probably knows this scene, but it happens towards the end of the film. And I think Spider-Man grabs the Infinity Gauntlet, and there's like a huge army of like monsters and antagonists, and and Spider-Man looks to Captain Marvel, or like Captain Marvel enters the scene and he's like, yo, you need some help, Peter Parker? I was like, nice to meet you, Peter Parker. Cute little exchange happens. And then Peter Parker's like, oh man, I don't know how you're gonna get through this army. And then like literally every single female character in the MCU canon goes, don't worry, she's got help. They don't all say it at the same time. One of them says, don't worry. Yeah, Nebula says, don't worry. And then like the lady from Black Panther says, she's got help. Like Wonder Woman. I haven't seen Wonder Woman. I haven't seen Wonder Woman. Infinity War did it better when they had, I don't remember, but they had a scene where there was like 3 female heroes doing. Yeah, it absolutely proves how there aren't enough female characters, because the reason why it's so obviously forced is because it's really hard to pinpoint exactly what makes it forced, other than the fact that it exists. It's just sort of like you don't see, because they don't fill the frame. They don't even fill the framing. No, there's a fair enough about them, but it stands out because girls get it done. I see you've seen. Have you? If you haven't, you have to watch the film. You have to watch the Amazon TV show, The Bros, or the Boys. Holy shit! There is a superhero dark comedy drama called The Boys, and it's basically set in a universe where there are humans and superheroes living I figured that's what you were referring to. Girls get it done. And that show makes fun of like this scene from Endgame with the slogan, girls get it done. And the whole show is about the commercialization of superheroes and how they're used to pursue political like goals, but also the commodification of like queer issues, being gay, being a woman, and they basically just have, and yeah, in that show they have the slogan "Girls get it done," and it's just such an obvious callback to call out of Endgame. She might. I don't remember her saying that, but I would not be surprised if they wrote that line for her. Girls get it done. Fucking hell. They don't even fill the frame, but it's the fact that, we haven't even seen most of those characters in a room together. Hardly any of these films pass the Bechdel-Wallace test. The test where you have to have 2 women having a conversation, but it can't be about a man. I would bet that most of these films don't pass the Bechdel-Wallace test, if you've heard of that. I'm sure some of you have, especially if you've been into film and media. It's something that comes up. The Bechdel test is, you need to fulfill 2 conditions. You need to have 2 women having a conversation with each other, and the second condition is that conversation, cannot be about a man. And sometimes there's a third requirement. Oh, not at all. That's what you were meaning. Sorry, I didn't mean to mansplain the Bechdel test to you accidentally. I thought you hadn't heard of it, and I was like, that's surprising. You're a media student. You haven't heard? Okay, good. That's it. Yeah, I don't think any of them pass it, except maybe Captain Marvel. I haven't actually checked this. Yeah, I explained it twice. I didn't think you were. I'm very sorry. I'm starting to get a little tipsy. And I wanted to be clear what the test was. Just in case you missed me the first time. I'm a bitch. That's fine. I'm very sorry. I was mainly misinterpreting Maddie. I thought she joined in later, but still. There's also another test called the Duvernay test, which I think is less well known, which is about, I think the test is about like whether non-white characters have like a substantial role in the story. And yeah, I don't think many films pass that too, with the exception of maybe... Oh, I think Guardians of the Galaxy probably passes the Bechdel test, because Gamora and Nebula have a conversation, and it's definitely not about a man. I'm pretty sure. I will have to check that. Don't take that as my word. It'd be sad if my favorite film didn't pass that test. But yeah, just... The main point is the female empowerment scene is cringy as hell. Everyone hates it. It's so funny. Yeah, maybe. 'Cause I do remember they talk about their dad, but... Here's the thing about the Bechdel test. There's one thing about it that I'm not quite certain of. When the conversation is about a man, does that immediately fail if you mention a man in passing, but the conversation ultimately is about something else? Or does the conversation have to... Romantically? Yeah. If it's romantically, then their dad would surely not count. Because I thought if you were being strict about the Bechdel test, it meant like any man in any situation. Because then a lot of films would pass the Bechdel test, I suppose, but... Well, maybe not, because there's not a lot of women having conversations with each other in the rest of these films, because, you know, male centricism is very prevalent in the MCU. But yeah, maybe Gamora and Nebula pass this test. I'm not really sure. If that's the case, then I'm pretty sure Guardians passes it. But you know, only marginally, because I can only think of that one scene, you know. But we've got... I think the new Guardians of the Galaxy has more representation of women, at least, so maybe there'll be more. I digress. We're getting a bit off topic, I suppose. Avengers Endgame. It's easy enough to pass, and a few pass it. I think that's the point that the cartoonist was trying to make when she created that test. She was basically like, here's a really simplistic test, see how many films pass it. And not a lot of films pass it. Especially, like, yeah, especially before the 2000s. Yes, I do watch anime. Haven't watched a lot recently, but I was quite the weeaboo in high school. Okay, so, but what's the takeaway? That scene, that woman's representation, woman empowerment. What did you call it? The woman getting it done scene. You know, that scene in Endgame. Cringe as hell. Hated it. Rest of the film, it was fun. It was a fun time. I would definitely put it above Age of Ultron. There's a lot of things it could have done better. It has a lot of room for improvement. See me after class. It did not meet expectations. I think sometimes we can have unfair expectations of things. And we tend to get very hostile towards things if they don't meet those expectations, but this film still was kind of underwhelming in some ways. There were moments that I really liked. In fact, I'd put some of those moments on par with, like, the S-tier films. But it's a 3-hour film. It's a bit of a slog to get through. And and it's just... I think it's less of a film than just sort of like a collection of moments and interactions. Griffin's jelly tip biscuits actually taste like the ice block. Not gonna lie, I'm impressed. Not sure how that relates to Endgame, but that's a very good point, Cole. I think we do need to consider why Griffin's jelly tip biscuits actually taste like the ice block. I have not tasted either of those. I will have to put Griffin's jelly tip biscuits in the did not watch tier. I'm very sorry. And finally, we're here. Spider-Man: Far From Home. This is the last film, the most recent one that came out, and it's the most recent film I watched. And I'm really glad I watched it. I had quite a good time. Is it better than Homecoming? Yes. I think it is a great film compared to Homecoming. I think they really... There are one or two things that were kind of petty in the film. The drama that Peter Parker has with one of his high school classmates is a little... It just felt a little unnecessary, but otherwise the rest of the film was cool. I loved Zendaya's role in it. I wish she had a better role, but it's still a great film. Arguably the best live-action Spider-Man movie. That's a bold claim, but I don't think it's entirely unsubstantiated. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie in the MCU, which isn't saying much, but... Spider-Man 3, I've heard mixed opinions of Spider-Man 3, but I do like the Sam Raimi films. It's been a very long time since I've seen the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films, but... yeah. Emo Peter Parker, though. Mwah. I love edgy Peter Parker. He's such a dick. No, yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home is cool. And it is the Guardians of the Galaxy of Spider-Man movies, because they just decide to take it to a completely different setting, do a completely different thing, and it paid off. I thought Mysterio was a cool villain. I knew that shit was coming from a mile away, because basically the trailers, like, spoil that shit already. I am not surprised at all what happened. And I even knew the twist at the very, 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 very end of the film. If you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home, I urge you to stop watching right now, because I'm going to get into the big spoilers. You have 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. The part at the end where Peter Parker's identity as Spider-Man is revealed has such crazy implications for the MCU. I can't wait to see what that entails for the character in future films. The cameo of J. Jonah Jameson by J.K. Simmons, fucking perfect. The best cameo I've ever seen in anything. I'm so glad they got him on. They probably paid him a fuck ton of money, but holy fuck. As soon as I heard, like, the Daily Bugle, I was like, no. And they had him, and I was like, fuck it. J. Jonah Jameson. I hope he's in. They gotta put him in future Spider-Man films. He can only, yeah. He is literally the only J. Jonah Jameson. He's so... I love how he's a character that I haven't appreciated at all until, like, recently because of just, like, memes. But man, great choice. It is... The more I think about Spider-Man Far From Home, the more happy I am to have watched it. So... The top of A tier, I think it belongs there. It's the best of the great. It could even belong in S tier. It might be swap-outable with Infinity War. But there we go. This is the tier list. Let's evaluate, shall we? I'm going to see if there's anything I need to swap out real quick. This is it, yeah, I think... yeah, I think I feel a bit better about that. Placement up there. We are complete. We are done with, hang on, we need to do the clap. We are done. Gochiso sama deshita. That was a good meal. Save and send to chat. Oh, should I save this, let's see, let's download the image. There we go. Just gonna quickly drop this in the chat. Oh, that did not save the image. That did not save the movies. That's weird. I thought that saved the... Why is it only saving the tier brackets and not the actual, like, film placements? That's very annoying. What's a boy gotta do to get his tier list published? Oh, do I just click on the image itself? That's better, I think. Let's try that. Wait, no. I know, okay? I sent a blank one, I'm sorry. I clicked the download image above the image and I thought that would be the right one, but they decided to fuck me. It's not funny. I'm really trying here. Fuck. I think I've got the right picture this time. Hang on. Don't rush me. Holy hell. There you go. Save it. Enjoy it, you fucking peasants. Never making a goddamn thing. I'm not going to do anything for you ever again, you dickheads. It's so... Oop. Go away. I don't need the ping. So, that's the tier list. Yeah. I love you too. I love you too. It's okay. It's okay. I had a really good time making this tier list. I'm sorry that I was quite rambly with a lot of these. I wasn't really working with a script, but I'm glad I could vocalize some of my thoughts and frustrations, and I hope it was enjoyable. And now you can, well, I was actually thinking Disney animated. I pulled up this tier list here, but we're going to be here all day if we do that. We could do a rapid fire round, but, of, Disney tier lists, but, if we do this, if I do this, I'm not going to be like super, long explanation. Okay, let's do it. Let's do a bullet round since we're on, since we're on a roll here. We've got that momentum. I hope you enjoy the... I could also do Star Wars too. I can pull up a tier list for that. Fuck it. Let's make it a multiple tier list stream. Okay? Let's go. Presentation mode, baby. Let's do it. Oh God, but okay. Okay. I'm gonna do it. It'll be hard to like pull up all my thoughts of every film. Okay, we're gonna firstly make a did not watch. Just on vibes? Okay. 101 Dalmatians, I'm going to put an A tier. Aladdin, S tier. Alice in Wonderland, a C tier. Little Mermaid will probably belong in a B tier. Atlantis, I barely have memories for it, so S tier. Sleeping Beauty is kind of a weak film on its own, despite being one of the first. Down Under, did not watch this. Meet the Robinsons is A tier. Treasure Planet is probably B tier, although I barely remember watching it. I do have good vibes from it. Bambi, I did not watch. The Great Mouse Detective is an A. And that's totally not because I'm a furry. I do actually enjoy the film. Big Hero 6, S tier. Beauty and the Beast, S tier. Is that Home on the Range, but it's got a Spanish title and I can't recognize it? D tier. Watched it, didn't love it. Bolt, A tier. Cinderella, B tier. Probably below Little Mermaid. Dinosaur, I did not watch. Saludos Amigos, I did not watch. Snow White, pretty iconic, but otherwise kind of weak. The Aristocats, I absolutely loved this film as a kid, but it's racist and it's not very good. Rewatching, so I'm gonna have to put it in low D tier. Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet. I did not watch this film. I do want to watch this film though. Fantasia, I did not watch this film. I don't know what that film is, but I have not watched it. The Hunchback of Notre Dame has some of the best music, but underwhelming plot. Lion King, S tier, completely iconic. The best retelling of Macbeth. No, not Macbeth, Hamlet, sorry. Ichabod and Mr. Todd. This is like a short animated film. I barely watched it. I'm gonna just say did not watch. Dumbo. I have scarce memories watching this. I might as well put it in C tier. I think it's okay. Frozen 2. Oh man, do I have opinions on this? It is a very underwhelming sequel. I'm gonna put it in C tier as well. Emperor's New Groove. S tier. An underrated classic, but if you know about like the background, this film could have been so much more, but a lot of the content that they made for the film has been deleted. It just corporate meddling and all that bullshit. Lady and the Tramp, probably C tier. It's got that iconic spaghetti scene, but that's about it. Melody Time, did not watch. Moana, A tier, and probably upper A tier too. Pretty great. Not much else to say. Good performances, great setting, love it. Fantasia, did not watch. The Jungle Book, fond memories watching it, but yeah, it's kind of dated as well. I'm sorry. The Lady and the Tramp deserves one. It's kind of the deal. Mulan, S tier. I'm gonna have to start bumping these down because not everything can be an S tier, but it is it is a classic. The music doesn't get talked about enough. Chicken Little, D tier. Bottom D tier. Maybe even F tier, but I liked the film as a kid, but I recognize it's not very good. S tier. Lilo and Stitch. It is probably the best animated film, arguably. A lot of films can get that title, but holy shit, does Lilo and Stitch hit differently. It is fucking good. Fucking good. I love that shit. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy of films, of Disney films. Oliver, did not watch. Peter Pan, I don't, B tier, I guess. Brother Bear, D tier. Oh, wait, what? What are you doing? There we go. Pinocchio, B tier. Sorry, I didn't explain Brother Bear. Brother Bear, good music by Phil Collins, but Have you ever seen Hook? Fuck off, Maddie. Pinocchio. Horrible scene. Winnie the Pooh, A tier. I can't not. It's Winnie the fucking Pooh. I love Winnie the Pooh, man. I'm gonna assume I've seen both of these. I can't really tell which ones are different. Wreck-It Ralph, also A tier. Great. Winnie the fucking Pooh. Tangled, also A tier. I would put it below Wreck-It Ralph, but above the rest of these films, probably. The Rescuers. I do have childhood memories, but they are locked deep down, so I cannot tell you anything about this film, but I think it's a neat film aesthetically. Robin Hood. Oh, man. Robin Hood and Zootopia, the two films that turned everyone into a furry in two different generations. Robin Hood, pretty solid. I enjoyed this film. Zootopia, I would put upper A tier. Fantastic film. Could have done better with the social commentary, but otherwise, like, yeah, nice. Frozen. Frozen is a modern classic. That's all there is to say about it. The Black Cauldron, did not see. Tarzan. Lower B tier. Like, I didn't care for it too much, but I do recognize that it has a lot of strength. The Three Caballeros. I think that's how you say it. Did not see. Pocahontas. Oh, man. Pocahontas, haven't seen this film in a very long time. I think it does do some things right with, like, it explores the obvious themes of colonization, but it still sort of tells a false history of it, and it glorifies kind of what was ultimately not a very flattering event. So I'm very uncomfortable putting this highly, but I don't think it deserves as much flack as it does from a technical aspect, so C tier. I'm uncomfortable with it, sorry. Princess and the Frog, this film, I wish this film was better, but it is a B tier. I hate how they took a black Disney princess and then they made her a frog for most of the film. Like, come on, that's such a cheap cop-out. What a poor representation of an underrepresented group in media. Very, not poor, but lackluster. Very lackluster. And Soul did the exact same thing. I've seen that, I've noticed that criticism, and it's just like, what is it with turning black people into, like, animals to make them not black for most of the film. They did that with that Spies in Disguise film too, where they turned Will Smith into a pigeon for most of the film. Like, once you notice the pattern, it's everywhere. This happens so much to non-white characters in kids' films that it's just like, fuck, man, that's depressing as hell. Fox and the Hound, oh man, I wish I'd seen this film. I've seen clips of this film, and man, it looks emotional as hell. Sword in the Stone, I probably watched this film, but I did not remember it. Hercules. I need to rewatch this film. Great songs, but I'm going to put it high C tier. There's a reason why it's not as popular as the others. And we're done. I think I did most of those under 10 seconds. Yeah, hot characters. Good point. Shall we do some adjustments, maybe? I think my instinct here is pretty good, though. I think I would readjust, like, the priority of, the S tier. Like, the films, I think I placed everything in the right, fuck. I think I placed everything in the right, tier, but I don't know if I've got them correct within the tier. Like, I think Lilo and Stitch is the best of the best. However, like, you know, whether Meet the Robinsons is better than Bolt, like, yeah, like, I'm gonna do the same with Star Wars too. Fuck it, let's do it. I heard a request for Star Wars, so I'm gonna do it. I enjoyed that rapid fire shit though. I'm gonna save this and send that to the chat too. How are you all doing tonight anyway? You having a fun little time on a Wednesday night? Oh gosh. Okay, so all right, fair enough. We're just doing Star Wars films at this point. But thank you for coming along. Sorry, something caught in my throat. Very grateful to have you here, Maddie, and everyone who's come here. You could have, though. You know where I live now. That would have been funny as hell. And then you could have featured. That would have been fun. I wouldn't have minded that, but you would have had to go quite out of your way to do that. So I understand that you didn't. But thank you anyway. It is a bit late, isn't it? Thank you so much for coming and staying up so late to watch little old me do some tier list. I surprisingly enjoyed this. So, but now we're gonna do a maybe when you're on a normal trip, yeah. All right, have a good one, Maddie. Good luck. Drive safe. Be good. Bye. Okay, so as per Cole's popular demand, I'm going to be doing now the tier list for Star Wars films. This is just one I found on the internet. And we're going to go a little bit in depth, but I'll try and keep it brief. Okay? We've got different ranks: Grandmaster, Council Member, Master, Knight, Padawan, and Youngling. I guess we'll work with that. That's fine. And I will go left to right, even though these films are all out of order. Goodness gracious me. I can work with this. Is Tom still around? Is he hanging out? Is he playing this in the background? Probably. Tom, I hope you're in on this, because I'm about to do a Star Wars tier list. Oh well. His loss. He heard me talking shit about Ant-Man and the Wasp, and then he bailed. Actually, no, he stuck around to the end, I'm pretty sure. Okay. Star Wars, A New Hope. Goodness gracious. I do wish I could change this. Oh, I can. Okay. Oh, hang on. Okay, let's do this. Star Wars: A New Hope. A tier. I did rewatch this film very recently and I enjoyed it. It was a very compact film. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Oh man. I don't like sand. It's rough and it's coarse and it gets everywhere. Good memes, but not a great film. Star Wars Rebels. I've only seen a bit of this. What I did see, I enjoyed, but it kind of felt very standard. Felt very much like the Clone Wars. And I am very infamously putting Rebels and the Clone Wars in B tier because I've only seen those series in like isolated episodes and not like I haven't gotten to appreciate the entire film. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna get some slack for this one. I have not seen whatever that is. I think that's like a spin-off of Squadrons. Yeah, Tom is gonna break my neck if he sees this recording. I hope he doesn't see it. Yeah, it'd be like if someone talks shit about Guardians of the Galaxy. I'd die. I'd be out for blood. Return of the Jedi is kind of a classic, although I do think actually the best film is Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi is down there. Well, I'm getting distracted. Revenge of the Sith, also S tier. I don't care what people say. This is one of the best films. It's the best film of the original trilogy, but it is also one of my favorite Star Wars films in general. Oh dear. We've landed on Rogue One, and this is another controversial one. I hated Rogue One. I actually really did not enjoy Rogue One. It is the Ant-Man and the Wasp of Star Wars films, and I know that people disagree with me. I know everyone else in this friend group that we have disagrees, and they put Rogue One quite highly. But good God, I did not care for this main character. She had zero personality, I suppose. And the film was only really good for referencing Star Wars, for referencing other films and being connected to other films. So, unfortunately, Rogue One has to be very low for me. Is it the worst film ever? No, but it is not great, in my opinion. Very overrated at times. Solo did not watch. Unfortunately, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Well, we're here now. And the only reason I put Rebels like in a B tier is because I haven't seen enough of it. I have seen some of it to form an opinion, but what I have seen has really just been like very gradual like character development. I haven't seen any of the epic moments of Rebels. I have seen some of the epic moments of Clone Wars, and I think Clone Wars is quite good. Do I love it as much as Tom does? Most certainly I don't, but it is great, and it's completely understandable why people like it. A tier. I do prefer... I prefer the Clone Wars that was the animated Clone Wars. The one with the person who animated Samurai Jack. That's a fantastic Clone Wars. Wait, is this the one that this one is referencing? I haven't seen this cover before. I don't know if this hashtag Clone Wars saved. I'm not sure if this is like the animated film, this one here. This one's season 7? Hashtag Clone Wars saved. Okay. Well, then I have to put it in the did not watch, because I've only seen the pilot episode of season 7, because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. I do wish okay. I really do want to watch season 7, but I do not have the time to catch up the rest of Star Wars. The poster is... Does it count as the series? Okay, but this is just the poster of season 7. Well, I haven't really watched. We'll just group them together then, I guess. Fine. But if we consider it for season 7, then technically I haven't watched it, but it's still a part of the series, so technically it just belongs with this. It's the same thing. Star Wars. Is that Rise of Skywalker? I think so. Yeah, The Last Jedi is the one next to it. No, this is The Force Awakens. This is The Last Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker, that's what it's called. Gotcha. Star Wars, The Force Awakens. I really liked this film when I watched it. I thought it was very visually impressive. It followed its formula quite well. But it's derivative as hell. I might even put it in A tier, actually. Low A tier. Just because I enjoyed the visual effects of it. It was very exciting to watch because it introduced new characters and, you know, it's just created a lot of hype. And I love seeing new shit for Star Wars. I wish the lightsaber fights were more dynamic. Obviously, Rey is kind of a Mary Sue-ish character. I do think she has a bit of development. Adam Driver is Kylo Ren. I like Kylo Ren. I like Adam Driver especially. I also like John Boyega as Finn. I hate how they phased out his role in the Star Wars films. But fuck, man, But the character itself is cool. And I like playing these characters in Battlefront, so I guess that says something. The Last Jedi. Yeah, I'm not going to put it above Return of the Jedi, but I am putting it above A New Hope. In my opinion, The Last Jedi is the best Star Wars film of the final trilogy, of the last trilogy. And I know, and that's another controversial take. It seems like Star Wars is just the sort of fandom where everyone disagrees. And that's just the nature of the Star Wars franchise. So, of course, yeah. But why do I think this deserves a high rating while others do not? I think it's more interesting. I think it takes risks with the character. I like how they made Luke Skywalker someone who's very jaded and cynical about the Jedi Order, because the Jedi Order is really a corrupt, power-driven organization. Or they're sort of like a religious cult, almost. I think a lot of people don't acknowledge just how coercive the Jedi Council was. Even though they did have good goals, it's just sort of the organization itself can be quite oppressive to people inside their thing. And Luke Skywalker wanted to be the last Jedi. He just wants to be the remnants of it. Although it is also an ironic title, because we understand that being a Jedi is more than just being part of an organization. It's about being true to yourself. So I think there's an interesting conversation it has. I like Kelly Tran in the film. A lot of people hated her for just existing. A lot of fans have been very volatile towards her, and I think she got death threats and shit. And that shit sucks. I liked her character, and it's a shame that she also got phased out. Another person of color being phased out in Star Wars. It's pathetic. It's disgusting. And that's the reason I would put. We'll get to the Rise of Skywalker later, very soon. But that's another conversation. The Mandalorian. I just finished watching The Mandalorian, and oh boy, I do like me The Mandalorian. Actually, no, I've finished season 1 of Mandalorian. I have yet to start season 2. So maybe I should put this a bit lower. But from what I hear, it does have some really epic moments. Yeah, anyone who sends death threats to actors for things that their characters represent is just pathetic. It's disgusting. It shouldn't need to be said that it's despicable and disgusting. But here we are. this shit happens to so many people. And it's just like, how pathetic do you have to be like so upset about a film or a video game? But yeah, The Last Jedi I think was pretty good though, and The Mandalorian is great. Definitely a very slow paced film series. I definitely couldn't. It's not a bingeable show. It's something you watch one episode of, take a break, and then watch another episode of, if you know what I mean. It's a very slow burn. Nothing really exciting happens until close to the end of the first season. But it's worth the wait, I think. It's an interesting character study of like the bounty hunter archetype. And yeah, great. It's a great show. I don't know if you've seen this one, Cole. I know you don't have Disney Plus, but I'd recommend talking to Michael for some MP4s, if you know what I'm saying. But I think I can see you enjoying The Mandalorian, based on what little I know of your Star Wars preferences. I think it's a film that's pretty enjoyable by any sort of Star Wars fan. But it is more of a Western. It's a very like, I'm a brooding cowboy bounty hunter. Woe is me. I like The Mandalorian, and I rate it highly. Maybe it deserves A tier for now. I won't settle on S tier until I've completed it. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. See? Is anyone surprised? Again, this is another case of an actor getting like overly abused for just being an actor. I feel so bad for the Haley Joel Osment, the actor who played young Anakin Skywalker. Poor guy. He got bullied out of acting because of the Star Wars fans' reactions. When I watched this film, I was very young, and I actually enjoyed the film, and I thought Anakin Skywalker was cool, like kid Anakin Skywalker. Now I don't think he's very interesting, but you know, it's a shame. Really good action, and of course Darth Maul's one lightsaber appear. Like, for the longest time, this was like Darth Maul's only appearance in the Star Wars franchise, and that was enough to land him as an iconic character. It's just him his character design is fucking excellent. The fact that he fights with a dual-bladed lightsaber, that's so awesome. So yeah, this film introduces some great ideas. I think it just suffers from being a prequel, but general thoughts on the prequel trilogy. I like what they did I like how they build the world. I like the visual effects. I like the action. I think it's very influential on the rest of Star Wars. I don't think we can deny that. But yeah, there are weaknesses, and those weaknesses are very visible in Episode 1 and Episode 2. Now, the last film, The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, it derived a generation of Star Wars, just the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars wouldn't have existed without the prequels. And if you like the Clone Wars, then you have to acknowledge the influence that the prequels have on it. Yeah. Just because it's set before the main story doesn't mean that can't be interesting in of itself. I just wish it was more interesting. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I would probably... I almost want to put it beneath Rogue One out of spite, to be like, haha, I might not like Rogue One, but God, do I hate Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Visually, exactly. They really said somehow he returned. I can't remember who you're talking about. Is it oh, Palpatine. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Palpatine. They were just like, ha ha ha. Somehow he returned. You fucking... Oh, man. When I heard Palpatine's laugh in the trailer, I was hoping that he was really just like an illusion. I didn't expect him to be like an actual fucking clone of Palpatine. That was such a dumb idea. I don't know what they were thinking. They were really just like, huh. J.J. Abrams is a fantastic adapter of media, but a good writer he does not make. A good writer he is not, to put it in Yoda terms. I agree, actually. The fight between Kylo and Rey on the ocean planet, great example of visuals and like the epicness of Star Wars. I do like that. And I could sort of enjoy Kylo Ren's 180 from I liked how he was sort of a good guy for like 10 minutes before dying, but I thought that Reylo kiss was really forced though. When they made the two main characters, they were like, now kiss. I was like, fuck. Don't get me started on the fact that they didn't put Poe Dameron and Finn together, and yet they were like, you know what romance we really need? Between the male lead and the female lead. Yeah, like, sure, I think we all agree that like Finn and Poe got done so dirty. Both of those characters were like shoved to the side because Disney didn't want them to get any character. They didn't get any like character interactions together after like the first film, and it's so obvious that they don't want them together. Man. Yeah, even the actors were cool with it. Man. Yeah, the actors were fine with it, and they just didn't want the Chinese government and the Russians to get mad. I won't say the Russians, that sounds racist, but you know, the Russian government, the Chinese government, they would not approve like explicit gay characters in their movies. So in order to cater to those audiences, they had to make any gay moments easily edited and cut out, and that's exactly what they did in The Rise of Skywalker. And that alone pisses me off so much. It happens time and time again with Disney. It's so typical Disney. But what we do have is fine. It is not the worst of the... I don't know. I'm mainly putting this in detail out of spite. As a technical film, it's okay, but the storyline is very structurally poor. And I don't really... The fact that they had J.J. Abrams do one thing, Rian Johnson do another in The Last Jedi, and then they went back to J.J. Abrams. The differences between the two are so obvious, and it creates such an inconsistent trilogy. Would the trilogy have been better if they had J.J. Abrams the whole time? I don't think so. I don't think J.J. Abrams is a very good writer. There, I said it. He's great at directing, I suppose, in some ways. Yeah, they killed off Snoke in like The Last Jedi too, right? That was The Last Jedi, I'm pretty sure. I didn't give a shit about Snoke either. He just seemed like Palpatine 2.0. I gave zero fucks about Snoke. He was like... I do find it funny how he was like raised up to be like a really big bad, and then they just kill him off just like that. But yeah. Again, very derivative. Palpatine 2.0. Zero shits about it. Oh... That would make sense, though. Then maybe that similarity is intentional, I don't know. Well, there you go. That's my very rushed and not thought out tier list of Star Wars. I'm going to send this in the chat, and Tom is probably not going to like me very much, but that's okay. Oh. Okay. Very well spotted. I didn't notice that at all. But I'm not very surprised by that revelation. Okay, so that's my Star Wars tier list. Again, apologies to Tom for not putting Clone Wars higher. I simply have not seen enough of it to appreciate it on the same level as you do. But it might not also connect to me as much. I don't know. I've yet to decide that question. But it wouldn't be fair for me to be like, oh, it's not as good as everyone says it is when I haven't even seen the whole fucking thing. It's just, it is what it is. I do like the Clone Wars, don't get me wrong. I'm not enamored with it as others are. But that opinion may change. If I ever get around to watching the Clone Wars, if I get around to rewatching the entire Clone Wars, I will give an in-depth review of every season that I watch. That would be a pretty interesting idea, maybe. Ooh. A comic series about Kylo's turn to the dark side. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fanboy of Kylo Ren, but I do think he's cool. And yeah, I mean, there's that obvious comparison to Darth Vader, but I think they acknowledge that, and that Kylo wants to be Darth Vader so badly, but he just isn't. He's just not as talented, and deep down, he's not as evil, or he's not as morally corrupt. I think there's a lot to be said about Kylo Ren as a character. And that's not, yeah. Very interesting. Okay, so I don't know why I wore this the whole time. I didn't even need to. I just I felt like it would be wrong to watch this during to not wear this during a stream. So, what have we learned here? Disney has some good things and has some very bad things. And sometimes the good things tend to make people forget about the bad things. I think if we're talking about franchises, I mean, they all offer different things, of course. So, I think that's about it. How long have I been streaming for? Good God, 2 hours and 17 minutes. Far out. Thank you for sticking this long, Cole. Thank you very much. I'm absolutely overwhelmed. Pretty good, yeah. That's pretty damn good, alright. Yeah, I'm glad people could come and participate and enjoy. I had a lot of fun. I would love to do more stuff like this, but this was more of a vanity project than an actual like endeavor to entertain people. So I'm glad everyone could indulge me by hearing me talk about my opinions. Yeah, that time flew by really quickly for me as well. I was just so absorbed with ranting about everything. I hope if I do more of these tier lists in the future, I can articulate my opinions better. I think sometimes I tend to flip-flop between opinions. Sometimes one day I think one thing is good. One day I'll think one film is good, but then the next day I'll think it's not as good. But I've tried to stay true to myself, mostly. And my opinion can get easily swayed by other people. If somebody brings forward a good case for a film, I can be compelled to change my opinion, but that depends, though. I don't think I'll shift very strongly on things like Rogue One or Guardians of the Galaxy. But everything in the middle, everything that isn't in the worst or best category, other than Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm still very conflicted about it. I'm pretty sure it deserves to be that low, but oh man, if the fact that I don't even remember that film could mean it's bad, but it could also mean it's good, and I just had a shitty, like, I was in a shitty mind state, so. It's not a very significant, but who cares, like, whatever. Happy with the Marvel tier list. I'm surprisingly happy with the Disney tier list too, even though I rushed that. I think that's pretty accurate, in my opinion. Actually, very much liked the placements of everything there. I just went by pure gut instinct. And Star Wars, oh man. Star Wars is the film franchise I can change my opinion on so much. There's a lot to like and a lot to dislike about all of these films. So yeah. Making tier lists is fun. Shows you can really learn a lot about someone based on what Marvel films they like the best. Or what Star Wars films they like the best, I should say. Okay, so there's not really much else to do here other than say hello and goodbye. This was a very unusual one-time just for fun stream, but I actually would not be against doing more of these. The question will be more of what? What would be a good tier list to do? I could do literally any tier list and just like provide my opinion, but could be interesting. We could do a tier list night. That'd be funny. I enjoy it. Feels a lot more social than other streams. You don't have to watch me do gameplay and not have an opinion on it because you don't know the game, like Dead by Daylight. I mean, you know the game, Cole, but I mean, you know what I mean. It's just kind of like, there's not much else to contribute. Like, when you're watching someone play a game, you're just saying like, nice game, nice this. But here, in a tier list, you can actually offer your opinion and like counter and contradict me and all that, and that's really fun and interactive. So, I hope that was enjoyable. I definitely enjoyed interacting and hearing people's voice their opinions. It was cool. Top 10 out of 10 interactivity. It'd be great if even more people were on. I don't know what Michael is doing, but he can see the recording too if he really wants to. But I don't know if you'd want to watch 2 hours and 20 minutes of me talking, but there you go. That's the video. Right. So, I think I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you everybody who came today to watch the tier list stream. It finally happened. I almost didn't end up doing it because I was feeling too lazy. But then Tom messaged me saying, "Hey, how's the stream going?" And I was like, "Oh shit," and I felt bad. So without Tom, the stream would not have happened. Put spoilers on the video title. Yeah. The only people I'm worried about spoilers is Jen, but I will. Yeah, I'll put a spoiler. I'll make sure to. I think I can download this and put it on YouTube. But if I do, then yeah, I'll put spoilers in the title. I'll make sure. I've made it pretty clear. Like the moments, I made it clear at the beginning of the stream and during specific moments when I dive into deep spoiler territory. But yeah, hopefully we should be covered there. Okay. I'm going to have a nice hot shower and lie down and drink some water because I've been talking way too long. Thank you for coming. I had such a good time. I really fucking enjoyed that. I think I enjoyed the Disney tier list the most because I just went through so many really quickly. It's fun. Sorry, I'm rambling now. Thanks for coming. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you around. Let's do this again sometime.